Warning. This podcast contains explicit sexual language and should only be listened to at work if you're looking for an excuse to connect with your HR representative. Additionally, all mentions of the word women include cis and trans women. If you are genderqueer, gender fluid, figuring it out, anything in between, and feel like this conversation is also important for you, you are welcome here.
Will you open up with me? These pages, they can feed your innermost desires. Do you feel inspired? Are you getting what you need? Are you coming curiously? A secret safe with me. And here you can simply be yourself. Sweet romance. Come on in, come on in, come on.
Hi, y'all. This is Jace, she, they, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. And while we read them, I want to talk about the people who write them today.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're
So
kind of a big part of the whole process.
They're just a little bit important. They're just a little bit more. And there's a lot that we can say about authors and probably a lot of topics that I will take on at different points. But like romance authors and the relationship with AI and romance and various things. But like one thing that I want to talk about is our interaction with authors and where it's appropriate and where it is not appropriate. All right. Good. We good. So number one, authors are humans.
100%.
Authors are humans. Yeah, they're humans making art from the depths of their souls.
Mm-hmm.
And they are giving that piece of their art and their soul to us.
Yeah.
And regardless of whether or not you like that art, there should be a base level of respect for humans who are vulnerable enough to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. The respect should be there. If you're consuming it, you're consuming a part of the creator. And I feel like they deserve that level of respect because they created this thing. You enjoyed it on some level, whether you DNF'd the book or whatever, you
interacted with it.
Yes,
you had a connection of some sort to this art.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all go try and write a 50,000 page word anything. That is time and commitment and sacrifice and it is an effort. It should be respected at bare minimum.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, so I want to start with it. We're all going to respect authors as the creators of art.
Yes.
And separately, that doesn't mean we have to like the art.
And it doesn't have to be this great drawn out reason that you don't like it. You just not like it.
There is no wrong reason to dislike a piece of art. Like if you go to a museum, if we're talking about written words, romance books as art, which they are, then we can compare it using other mediums of art. So if you go to a museum and you go to an impressionist gallery and you think, cool, but I like realism.
Yeah.
You're not going to like that art.
No.
You can respect the time, effort, technique, skill that went into making that piece of art, but you don't have to like it.
No.
just like how we now expect art to be created in 3D and looking at medieval paintings, it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't love it. It's the best they had at the time.
At the time, exactly.
Like,
I know
at the time it was exquisite.
Yes, I know there's a lot of memes out there that kind of poke fun at how they draw cats and horses.
Oh my God, they had no idea. No idea. I love it whenever they're like, this is a tiger. And I'm like, no, it's
not. No, it's not. The world was a lot smaller at that time.
Yeah, like there were no tigers. It's like a terrible game of telephone. Or maybe you saw a very bad taxidermied tiger, which you can also find, like terrible taxidermy in museums. Like you can find it in museums that have like these examples of taxidermy creatures that have been around for hundreds of years. And you're like, that's what they put it together and this is what they thought a tiger was? Which is why I'm like, we don't know what dinosaurs look like.
Exactly.
You can't even get a tiger correct. You don't know what a dinosaur looks like.
Exactly.
Not to tangent too far. So if we're talking about art, there's respect for the art and the skill and the history and the whatever, and then there's whether or not you like the art. And respect and like don't have to go together.
No.
But I never want to see dislike without respect of some sort.
Yes, 100% agree. Of some sort. Mm-hmm.
And that's of the art itself. Now, that's if you don't like the art. Not if the art is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
There is an exception to this. If the book is racist, misogynist, anti-queer, any kind of like promotes various stereotypes, you can have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You can decide to pull your respect back a little bit because I lose respect for artists who promote that kind of ideology.
Yeah. Same.
You can also,
but I'm just going to say that goes to the idea of human beings deserve respect on some level. So if there's a piece of art that is disrespecting humans of any group, like with misogyny, with racism, with anti-queer rhetoric, anything, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because it takes away from seeing people as people.
And you can also, I'd say, like, even with respect, though, you can also have opinions about the skill of an artist. And this is primarily what we're going to talk about today is what is your opinion versus what is a skill that they have or they lack.
Okay.
And let's go with low-hanging fruit. Does the artist use proper grammar and words correctly?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, I'm gonna hide the book. Okay. You can't see what it is. You can't see what it is because I liked this book. But there was a moment that I read this and I went, that is not how that word works.
Oh no.
Yep, here it is.
Okay.
So this is a skill and I can judge this skill.
Yeah.
Lillian's pupils dilated into pinpricks of outrage. The word dilate means to get bigger.
Bigger.
You don't become pinpricks.
No.
So, like, that's a skill thing. And I can say, hey, artist, you used a word incorrectly. You got the anatomy of a vulva wrong. You got the location in the city incorrect. You did not hire a copy editor. Those are skills that we can and we should hold artists accountable to, especially in the written word. You should have correct word usage or grammar, or I would argue like anatomy and location. Like I get
Google is a
mad.
thing. Like Google is the
It's
thing.
so easy.
Like it in this age of technology, it shouldn't be quite so difficult
You
to
can
be able to
even-
find these things.
Find these things. It's amazing to me when people don't know how long it takes from get to point A to point B in a city. You can find that on the internets. You can make a trip
on your
and
phone.
then give it a few more minutes on your phone.
It's just like,
how long does it take to get from the Natural History Museum to Chelsea? You can find out. You can even find out what trains you take.
Exactly. Like it just boggles my mind.
So that's a skill that they're either choosing not to develop or is not fully developed.
Right.
But when I read that, I literally paused. I was with someone and I went, if I said this sentence to you, it sounds wrong, right? Dilated into pinpricks. And they went, yeah, that's not how that works. I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure it's not me.
Not me.
Because also, is it a me thing? Is it a me thing or is this real?
Yeah.
You got to confirm. Is this, did
confirm.
I not understand how the word works?
Right.
And also, tell me in the comments, is dilate a word that could mean getting bigger or smaller? Is it like velocity or like?
That's what I was actually just going to look that up because I'm like,
you know what? Can you look that up? Because let's take a moment.
Yeah.
But even if it is, that's not what we say when it says like, and her eyes dilated into giant pools of black. Like that's what we normally hear.
Okay, so dictionary.
Thank you.
It says make or become wider, larger, or more open. And the example that is used, her eyes dilated with horror.
Okay, horror isn't normally what I say, but like, yeah. So incorrect. And that's something that is a criticism that you can make as an author. Mm-hmm. That's criticism. That is, here's something objectively that's a skill they are lacking or need to work on. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to sidebar, if you find an error in like a KU book, email the author and not Amazon, because Amazon's a dickwad and will pull books for things like that. But an author can change it and re-upload the file.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Here's my sidebar. If you find that the copy editor, that the author misused a word, there's a typo, something formatting got weird, email the author, not Amazon. Even though Amazon prompts you to email them, don't. Amazon's a dick. If there's a rule in this world, Amazon is a dick.
It's like that really long list of rules for horror movies. This is the one for the world. Amazon is a dick. We can talk about that later, but there's a list for horror movie rules. Anyways.
If you want, send it to me. I'll put it in the show notes. Or Michael, if you don't, cut it out completely. So when we're talking about criticism that is acceptable to give an author themselves, like correcting grammar, and double check that is grammar, because languages do evolve and we need to double check these things. Those are things that can be shared with respect. Hey, author, that is not what the word dilate means.
Yeah.
Hey, author, you've misjudged or misrepresented the distance between these two places.
2 points. Yeah, exactly.
2 points in the world. Mm-hmm. Hey, author, or bringing attention. There are all of us who grew up in the West grew up with racist, misogynist, various disrespectful ideologies fed to our unconscious mind. We have these unconscious biases. There are colloquialisms steeped in these ideologies. So educating authors about where or what might have snuck in there unbeknownst to them, like give them the benefit of the doubt, but snuck in unbeknownst to them, is also valid if done with respect. Now, if the author comes back at you and goes, fuck off, no, it isn't. Okay, well then they've lost the respect.
Yeah, exactly. Like they did not return the
goes
respect.
Both ways.
Yes, exactly. Goes both ways.
Now, appropriate places in which to share these criticisms of skill, not art, skill. My preferred method is email, because email is typically something for work. They're in their work mindset, all of that.
Yeah. It does lend that little bit more professional feel, like, which professionalism can lend itself to a more respectful wording and conversation.
Or if for some reason that's not what you're feeling, it could be privately messaged via social media.
Heavy on the privately.
Private. Email, DMs, all of that done privately. There's no reason to call them out.
No, it's the same idea as when, like, if you're at work, and I'm speaking from direct experience, if you're at work and you make a mistake or something goes bad and you need to be corrected, your boss should take you aside and be like, hey, here's what happened. Here's what we should try to do next time. I did not get that in my first pharmacy job down here in Texas. She literally reamed me out in front of all my coworkers and customers behind the pharmacy, even when I asked for a one-on-one. So, like, that's not okay. That's not how you do things. No. That does not show respect at all.
Exactly. It's about showing respect to the author and giving them grace.
Yes.
Or whatever it is that you are offering genuine, reasonable criticism for. And that is the only place in author spaces that's appropriate. Now we're going to go into opinion. Opinion is your personal feels.
Yes.
How the art made you feel.
Yeah.
And that, quite honestly, has nothing to do with the artist.
100%.
Has nothing to do with the artist.
No. To go back to your museum analogy, like, how are you going to tell Monet that you didn't like his water lilies? Like, how what does it have to do with him? Like, maybe you didn't like the fact that there was, like, purple in them. Like, okay.
Cool.
He did.
Exactly. Like, you don't like the word moist and someone used it. Fuck off. That's your opinion.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the art, the skill, the work, the effort that went into that art. That's your opinion. Maybe you had an ex-boyfriend named Richard and you hate him, and this MMC is named Richard and you can't stand it. So you don't like the art because it takes you out of the, that's a you thing. That is a you thing, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And opinions are for reader spaces or the group chat or your damn self.
Yes.
Opinions have nothing to do with the artist.
100%.
So nothing. And when we are treating artists with respect, however big our opinions and the feels are, we have to hold respectful boundaries between us and the artists. So, for example, I read The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty by Anne Rice. I made a video about that and I put it on the TikTok. Do you know what I didn't do? Tag Anne Rice. I don't tag authors in anything. Bringing an author into your feelings is inappropriate.
I would agree. Because they created this piece of art. They are happy for the most part with how it came out. They don't need to know how you feel. Because they just don't need to know.
And I'm going to table like author etiquette because I think that really needs to be its own episode.
Yeah.
If we're asking respect and humanity from authors and diversity, and like we want to create this space where everyone's represented, we as readers also need to make sure that we're creating a space where authors feel safe creating art and sharing it with them. So that's going to be its own topic. Right now, I want to talk about our feelings and what you're allowed to have feelings about. And the answer is anything. You are allowed to have feelings about anything. You are allowed to have feelings about where the book is taking place. You are allowed to have feelings about the age of the characters. You are allowed to have feelings about the time of the story. You are allowed to have feelings about, whether the sex is doggy style or missionary. You are allowed to have feelings about the job. You are allowed to have feelings about anything. But let's remember, those are opinions and they are subjective, which means if you put everyone who's read the same book into a room, you are going to get just as many opinions about the book. Those opinions are not necessarily helpful to an artist because you can't make every person have the same reaction about something. I remember having a conversation about the word fit.
Like F-I-T?
Someone was just F-I fit. Like someone was described as fit. And it was really triggering for someone who has like a history of over-exercising and athleticism and a history like that kind of thing. And that's a word that reminds them of this time in their life. And then the peer was saying, oh, this is a word that I associate with like fitness when I finally got like healthy and started to love my body because I treated it as something to be like the same word people have really different relationships with. And those are both opinions. They're not a skill. Unless the author used the word fit incorrectly.
Yes.
Like unless it was incorrectly used or spelled, if it was F-I-T-T, like that's not a skill problem. And therefore, the artist doesn't need to know about your feelings regarding the word fit.
They used it because they like how it worked in the moment, and that's what matters to them.
I will share something with you that I find a little bit triggering.
Okay.
And it's not because inherently the word is wrong. It's that I find it's often a word used
incorrectly
by people. No, not even incorrectly, but by people to subjugate women or like put women into a box. And I don't like it. And it's specifically like it's a phrase, feminine energy. I
don't like it.
Like inherently,
it's not a
inherently
bad...
there's nothing wrong.
No.
Like inherently there's nothing wrong with feminine energy, feeling feminine, like dear blah blah blah. But I find that like a lot of people in the less than healthy views on women's space are like, she needs to be in her feminine energy and you need to be in your masculine energy, and when women aren't in their feminine, I'm like, what the fuck does feminine energy mean?
Right.
Like,
it's the whole gender profiling. Like there's that division.
Like,
but No, I get it.
Exactly.
I understand
So
exactly.
like feminine energy to me, and like even when people use it and they're being so kind and loving and they're like, I just love, like, I'm not gonna put words out there because I can't say it with a straight face. And they're saying it with like so much. I know that these humans respect women so much.
Yeah.
But I'm like, can we pick a different phrase? Now, that is my opinion. Did I DM these people or comment on videos with that phrase in it and say, I don't like it? No.
I will tell you one thing that is my opinion when it comes to books I read.
Yeah.
I think that naming your characters crazy, like really weird spellings of names is silly. So like if it's like, I know, I'm trying to think of one. Like,
I'm like,
okay.
you just don't you read fantasy? Like
I do, but in fantasy, it's fine because it's kind of inherent to the genre. But like if you're in,
you mean if like it were Elaine, Elayne?
That's not quite like so bad, but that's the idea. Yes. Know. Like if it's like a normal-ish name, big quotation marks on that phrase. Like if you spell it like Leah, okay? In my head, Leah is like Leah or Leia. Yeah. If you spell it Leigha, I'm like, that's too many letters.
My brain just stopped. Okay. You know what? And that is an opinion.
That is my opinion.
To that opinion.
That's my opinion.
You're entitled to that opinion. Absolutely.
Like, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's silly.
Yeah. I get it. But you're not going to comment on a book reveal or, DM an author and say, I hate the way that you spell. Like,
right. Like,
you're not going to do that. No.
Because why does it matter to them? They liked the spelling. So by all means,
it's an opinion.
Yeah.
So opinions are little feels have nothing to do with the author. And there are appropriate places to have the feels. And I'm going to go backwards this time. Number one, check yourself. Like, why are you having the feels? Why are you having the feels? Is it for a legitimate reason? Is it triggering something in you? Just a memory, trauma? Why? What's going on?
Yeah.
2, is this a real reason? Is this a real thing? Because I don't like extra letters. I don't like certain words. You chose my ex-boyfriend's name or my kid's name or my dad's name or just a name that I find unsexy. It's a pretty low-key reason. Like, that's pretty, like, let's just admit that that's silly.
Yes.
And like your feelings are valid. Like, I don't necessarily want to picture anyone screaming out my parents' names in passion either.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking of that. Thank you for putting that in my head.
And I'm very lucky in that my parents have names that are normally the focus of a romance novel. So I don't have to. Yeah, I'm literally trying to think of one. My mom, no. My dad, I don't think so. So like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not a problem I face. But so like, that's my opinion. Whatever. And you sit with your opinion and you're like, is this a silly reason? Cool. And then, you know what? Often you let it go or you DNF the book or you put it down. Because you know what? You don't need to like shout to the world, "Oh my God, it's my dad's name in the sex scene." It's not necessary.
No, that's a group chat, maybe comment.
That is a group chat. That is if you do need to shout it, that is in the group chat.
Exactly.
If you don't have a group chat where you can talk about books, you can always DM me. Like, I will be your group chat. Right? You can tell me, especially if it's a book I recommend, and no, I couldn't because it was my dad's name or my brother's name or my son's name or my ex-boyfriend who just, like, whatever. Send it to me. It's fine. I will be your group chat and I will commiserate with you. That's so uncomfortable, so frustrating. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Put the book down. Don't read it. Whatever. Do you want me to tell you what happens?
Yeah.
You can use me. If you really must, if you have opinions because you share opinions on social media like I do, and I share opinions about books on podcasts and on social and mainly on Instagram and YouTube because TikTok is, I don't know, I still don't know how I feel about TikTok anymore. I still feel a little, I'm like, when is it going away? I don't know. Is it being
away?
Taken over? I don't know. Who the fuck knows anymore? I don't trust it.
I know.
So I don't trust it anymore. So I might be sillier on TikTok, but who knows? But if you're going to post things post them in reader spaces.
Yes.
Reader spaces are places like Goodreads or reviews on selling commerce sites like bookshop.org.
Yeah.
Or even most libraries have a place where you can review the books that you've read.
Yeah.
If you're doing it on social media, do not tag the author.
No.
I don't know if I tag authors in anything. Here are the two exceptions to when I tag authors. I do weekly roundups of what I read. I don't share opinions yet, just here's what I read. I will tag authors in that.
Yep.
Or if I'm doing some other type of positive roundup, and it might be like, here, my last 5-star reads, which I think I just posted one of those. Or here are my favorite vampire books or romances or books with banter.
Right, because you're recommending them to people because you enjoyed them. It's not it's not necessarily that you're saying an opinion about the book itself. You're just saying, hey, I really liked these books. So I'm recommending them to you as an option if you wanted to look into this type of book, this storyline, this banter, whatever. Exactly. It's almost like you're promoting them in a sense.
I'm sharing books that I like and with zero criticism.
Yeah.
Or opinion about it.
Yeah. Other than the fact that you liked them.
Any negative opinion.
Right.
In my review of a book, it might, like, let's take Immortal Dark by Tejas Gurma. That was a book that was really hard for me to get into.
Yes.
But if I'm recommending Black authors with absolutely brilliant world building, I'm going to put that book there.
Yeah.
If I'm going to talk about books that I'm pre-ordering in 2025, I'm pre-ordering book number 2. I am. But for me, in my review of it, there were opinions and they weren't always positive. I struggled getting into that book. That world was hard for me, and it was written purposefully to be deceptive because the point of view character we had didn't understand the world either. So we were seeing it from her eyes. I don't love that always.
Yeah.
I get really antsy.
No. The reader who doesn't like
it's
slow burns.
like specifically the point of view character in that misunderstands the world. And so her actions are really problematic when we learn truths, when things are revealed. I hate that because I feel like an idiot. But if I'm talking about the skill of an author or vampire books that are written in the contemporary sphere, that book is going to be on the list. Completed trilogies based on Shakespeare. We've got Chloe Lisa. We've got, who I haven't finished the trilogy, we've got Nisha Sharma. Nisha Sharma, I read all 3 books. Her 3rd book was my least favorite. I can tell you why. But if I'm compiling a list of Shakespeare-inspired series, I'm going to put If Shakespeare Were an Auntie. I'm going to put The Bennett Sisters. I'm going to put Nikki Payne. I don't know if that series has a name, but like I'm going to put it there. That's a roundup. That's an appropriate place
to tag
an author. Because you are sharing the book. You're not like, unless my note in the post is, but I didn't like that one. Or if there are stars on it. Like I will not share anything I will not tag an author if there's any sort of rating. Right. Unless it's just like, these were my 5-star books, because they don't need, no author needs to know why I gave it 4 instead of 5 stars. If they're a 5-star read, I will tag them if there's no other opinion. Because even in 5-star reads, sometimes I'm like, I wish this one thing were different. Still 5-star read. I will recommend this book to everyone. Yeah. They don't need to know. So those are my opinions. Where it is also not appropriate is to tag an author in an opinion post by someone else. No. I've had people tag authors in the comments of posts I've made.
Seriously?
And it was like a pretty positive post. It was like a fairly positive post. Like it was like 4.5 stars. But that makes me uncomfortable because you, dear reader, have now pulled an author into the reader space. Now, my opinions have nothing to do with authors. That is their art and they make it. But opinions are really helpful for fellow readers. If you also don't like slow burns, then you are gonna want me to let you know. Yeah. If a book is a slow burn. Exactly. You're gonna want that. You might want my opinion. It's going to help you decide whether or not to read a book. It's going to help you get to know me so you can take other recommendations seriously. If we've read the same book, do I have a similar opinion about that book? So that you can use that knowledge to maybe yes or no other recommendations. If you and I have completely opposite opinions, you're going to look for the books I hated and go read those books. Exactly. Like, opinions are important for fellow readers. So you don't take reader spaces and either pull authors into them by tagging them in your own posts or in other people's posts, or sending them to authors.
No.
Yeah. So so the end of this first conversation is, let us sum up. Authors are people who deserve respect.
Yes.
And respect for the art that they're making, being vulnerable, putting in the work to create the art.
Yes.
Asterisk, unless they are disrespectful to other humans in that art.
Yes.
There are 2 separate things. There are criticisms of skill, things that are objective, grammar, correct word usage, things that could easily be researched, misinformation, anatomy of a vulva. And then there are things that are opinions, how to make you feel, what were their names, word usage, sexual positions, tropes, whatever. Those are your opinions. In author spaces, ideally privately via email or direct message, you can share objective criticism of skill. Your formatting was wrong. Of skill. Your formatting was wrong.
Hmm.
The definition of the word you used is actually this. You cannot get from here to there in that amount of time or via that train.
Yes.
And those are author spaces. Literally the author's spaces.
Yes.
Social media, Goodreads, Storygraph, bookshop.org, or other commerce sites, they are reader spaces.
Yes.
They are for readers to interact with readers about the art the author created.
Yes.
So you can post your opinions, your subjective feelings there. Do not bring authors into the reader space. Do not tag them in your posts. Do not tag them in the comments of other people's posts. Do not share posts via direct message to the author. And whatever your opinions about the book, do it with respect to the author as an artist and as a human. There are books that I have hated. There are books that have made me refuse to read an author ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But if I met them on the street, I would still smile and shake their hand.
Yeah.
Because they are a human and they deserve that level of respect. So that's where we're going to stop today.
Okay.
I hope that this was helpful for y'all because I've been noticing a lot of people taking opinions about subjective things and treating them as criticism of objective things. And those are not the same.
No.
And if we want people to feel safe as artists, then we have to create a space where they are safe to create their art and still be respected, regardless of our opinion of the art they've created. So I hope you enjoyed that. I feel like this is a good place to see, but I've got a lot more bubbling inside of me.
I can tell.
Bubbling. And we'll talk about it soon. Bye.
Bye.
Jace Reads Romance is a 3 Paws Productions podcast. Produced by Seffi, edited by Michael Achenbach. Our theme song is written and performed by Diana Weishauer. For show notes and more, head to www.jacereadsromance.com. That's JAYCE Reads Romance. Follow us on socials at Jace Reads Romance everywhere. For more exclusive content, visit us on Substack, where you'll find extended episodes, bonus episodes, and more. Have a question, story, or book recommendation you know I'll love? Email Jace at jacereadsromance.com or call and leave a voicemail at 661-JACE-RR. That's 661-529-2377. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. And as always, this is Jace, holding space for you.